For centuries, we have looked toward the heavens and found a jewel, majestic, golden, and crowned with a halo of light that seems to defy the very chaos of the cosmos. Saturn has always been the masterpiece of our solar system. From the safety of our telescopes, it looks peaceful, a silent guardian floating in the obsidian dark. We have written poems about its beauty. We have named it the jewel of the solar system. But beauty is the ultimate trap. If you were to cross the threshold of its gravity, you would realize that the jewel is a mask. Beneath that golden glow lies a violent colossus, a world of impossible storms, of geometric nightmares, and of a gravity so cruel it rips entire worlds apart just to decorate itself. This is not a peaceful kingdom. This is a planetary graveyard. Welcome to the Lord of Chaos and the terrifying reality of the grinder of ice. Let's start with the crown. From Earth, the rings look like solid, polished bands of gold, smooth and eternal. But if you were to fly your spacecraft inside them, you would find yourself trapped in a cosmic grinder. These rings are not solid. They are a chaotic blizzard of sharp ice shrapnel and boulders ranging from the size of a grain of sand to the size of a mountain. They do not float. They scream around the planet at thousands of kilometers per hour, constantly colliding, shattering, and reforming in a never-ending cycle of violence. Imagine a storm of jagged ice that stretches for nearly 300,000 kilometers wide, yet is so razor-thin that in some places it is only 10 meters thick. It is a blade of frozen glass, slicing through the darkness. But where did this beauty come from? Science suggests a tragedy. The prevailing theory is a murder that took place eons ago. A moon, perhaps as large as the mighty Titan, wandered too close to the monster. It crossed the Roche limit, the invisible line of no return, where a planet's gravity becomes stronger than the gravity holding a moon together. Saturn's gravity grabbed that moon and literally ripped the crust from its core. It shredded a living world into trillions of icy fragments. The rings we admire are not jewelry. They are the scattered guts of a dead moon. Every time you look at Saturn, you are staring at a planetary crime scene that has been frozen in time. Imagine what would actually happen if you fell in. Most people ask where you would land, but on Saturn, as on its brother Jupiter, there is no ground. There is no rock to catch you, no shore to reach. You would simply fall forever. At first, the descent feels like a dream. You fall through thin, wispy clouds of ammonia ice that catch the distant pale light of the sun. But as you drop deeper, the dream dissolves into a nightmare. Saturn is a ball of hydrogen and helium spinning so fast that it has physically flattened itself into the shape of a pumpkin. This rapid spin creates winds that would make an earthly hurricane look like a summer breeze. As you sink into the thick, golden haze, the pressure begins to mount. On Earth, we live under a single atmosphere of pressure. On Saturn, as the weight of the sky above you accumulates, it begins to feel as though you are being crushed by 1,000 oceans. The temperature begins to soar, fueled by a chaotic engine of internal heat that radiates more energy than the planet receives from the sun. Then, you reach the liquid nightmare. Deep beneath the clouds, the pressure becomes so intense that the laws of chemistry begin to buckle. The hydrogen gas is squeezed until its molecules shatter, transforming into liquid metallic hydrogen. You would be falling through a scorching ocean of liquid metal that conducts electricity like a wire, creating a magnetic field that tears through the surrounding space. You wouldn't just be crushed. You would be melted and vaporized long before you ever saw the core. You would simply become part of the monster. A few more atoms added to the mass of the failed god. But the true strangeness of Saturn is written at its poles. Nature does not like straight lines. Fluid dynamics in a spinning atmosphere should create circles and spirals. Yet, at Saturn's North Pole, spinning forever in the dark, is a perfect piece of geometry: the hexagon. This is not a symbol. It is a hurricane, a six-sided storm wide enough to swallow 4 Earths. The walls of this geometric nightmare reach hundreds of kilometers deep into the interior. At its very center lies a massive vortex, a red, spinning maw that looks like a rose made of hurricanes. It has been raging for decades, perhaps centuries. A geometric scar that never heals, staring unblinkingly into the void like a giant, lidless eye. And when the planet gets angry, the entire atmosphere changes. Every 30 Earth years, a monster wakes up, the Great White Spot. This is a storm system so massive, it wraps around the entire circumference of the planet. It is a thunderstorm that flashes with lightning 10,000 times stronger than anything on Earth, churning up white clouds of ammonia ice from the deep interior and turning the golden jewel into a pale, frozen ghost. It is a reminder that the calm bands we see from a distance are merely a veil for a chaotic engine of energy waiting to explode. Saturn is the king of a massive entourage, with more than 140 moons orbiting in its shadow. But among these followers, there are outcasts and mysteries. First, there is Titan, the imposter. Titan is the only moon in the solar system with a thick atmosphere. If you stood on its surface, you would see rivers, lakes, and rain clouds. It looks startlingly like home, a second Earth hidden in the outer dark. But do not be fooled. Titan is a twisted, toxic reflection of our world. The rain on Titan is not water. It is liquid methane and ethane, liquid natural gas falling from the sky in slow motion. The temperature is a bone-shattering minus 179 degrees Celsius. If you were to jump into a lake on Titan, you wouldn't just freeze. You would shatter like glass. The ground beneath your feet is not sand, but grains of plastic. Static-charged hydrocarbon dunes, hundreds of meters high, shifting in the alien wind. It is a world that mimics the form of life, but is built entirely from the ingredients of death. Then there is Enceladus, a tiny, bright ball of pure white ice. For years, we thought it was a dead, frozen rock. But then we saw the tiger stripes, long blue fractures at its south pole that are literally bleeding. From these scars, Enceladus shoots giant geysers of water vapor hundreds of kilometers into space. At supersonic speeds, Saturn's gravity is kneading this tiny moon like a ball of dough, keeping its core warm. Beneath that frozen shell lies a global ocean of warm, salty liquid water. In the deep, dark pressure of that hidden sea, shielded from the vacuum of space, something might be swimming. We went to Saturn looking for gas and rock, but we might leave having found neighbors. To learn these secrets, we had to make a sacrifice. For 13 years, the Cassini spacecraft was our lone messenger at Saturn, dancing through the rings and hovering over the moons. It showed us the tiger stripes of Enceladus and the plastic dunes of Titan. But in 2017, Cassini was running out of fuel. NASA faced a choice. They couldn't let the spacecraft drift. If it crashed into Enceladus or Titan, it might contaminate those pristine, potentially living worlds with earthly bacteria. And so, they ordered Cassini to commit suicide. On its final orbit, Cassini dove straight into the atmosphere of the monster it had studied for over a decade. It fought to keep its antenna pointed at Earth, transmitting data about the chemical makeup of the clouds until the very last second. But Saturn showed no mercy. The heat and pressure tore the robot apart. It melted, vaporized, and became a permanent part of the planet it loved. Cassini is no longer a machine. It is a ghost haunting the golden clouds. When we look at Saturn, we feel a sense of permanence. We see a king that has ruled the dark for 4 billion years. But the truth is, even the Lord of Chaos is fading. Saturn is currently eating its own crown. Gravity is slowly pulling the rings down into the atmosphere in a process called ring rain. In 100 million years, a mere blink of an eye in cosmic time, the rings will be gone. Saturn will be just another lonely gas giant, stripped of its jewelry, rolling through the dark. We are lucky to exist in the brief window of time when Saturn is at its most beautiful. It is a temporary masterpiece of gravity and violence, a beautiful trap that lured us across the solar system, only to show us how small we really are. Saturn reminds us that the universe is not a static gallery. It is a realm of extreme change, where moons are shredded into rings and robots are digested by the worlds they seek to understand. It is a world of iron silence, supersonic screams, and crushing beauty. Stay curious. Keep looking up, because the more we learn about the Lord of Chaos, the more we realize that even in the most violent corners of the dark, there is a beauty that is worth the fall.